Republicans are acting like Democrats started the redistricting wars, and it's just kind of crazy. Republicans love redistricting. I'm Cam from Bulwark. I'm joined today by our friend and contributor, Lakshya Jain. Lakshya, I want to play a quick clip of the blame shifting that the Republicans are doing. Let's take a look.
Truth is that what California voters chose over 10 years ago in two ballot initiatives in 2008 and 2010 for an independent process, that's what I think most people actually want. However, that independent process in California was hijacked by the Democrats. That's why it's just not true to say that Texas started this. The California Democrats took the independent process, totally corrupted it. For example, the lawyers that they hired to do the process were DNC lawyers, who were the lawyers for the Obama-Biden campaign. The guy that they hired to do the maps was the exact same Democrat activist that they've just hired to do this second round of rigged maps. So I think we should go back to the integrity of the independent system, but that is not what we have in California right now.
Okay, can you explain what the fuck this guy's talking about?
It seems to me like this strikes at one of the core complaints that a lot of Republicans have. They think that, California is kind of like just a Democrat-run hellhole that essentially imposes its rules on Republicans all the time. And that's what all these complaints really stem from. It's not really about the redistricting. It's about the fact that Republicans are about to lose seats in California, and because they've never really benefited from the independent redistricting commission, because it's always drawn maps that are better for Democrats than the partisanship of the state would indicate. And this is because the Republican votes in California are very spread out. They're not very easy to generate maps on, which would give Republicans 16, 18 seats out of 48. And so what's happening here is Republicans say, hey, the California maps are biased. The California maps give us only 9 seats. Now you're going to draw out 4 more Republicans. How is this fair? Texas is fighting back. Texas is gerrymandering. This is basically saying that the only right way to draw a state's maps is to give the percentage of votes that each party gets and translate that into seats. They're saying if you get 66% of the votes, you should get 66% of the seats. If you did that nationally, Democrats would actually probably benefit, just for the record. But on top of that, this is what's being used to justify the Texas gerrymanders.
What I want to talk about here, I guess, is who cast the first stone in this situation. Because when I think of gerrymandering, I think of Republicans, specifically because Republicans have historically always been quicker to use gerrymandering for racist purposes and for creating districts where they actually have to commit complete fucking gymnastics to give themselves a seat. But when it comes to Texas and California in this instance, from what I understand, Newsom's redistricting thing, which has also spiraled into his Trump cosplay on Twitter, which a lot of people have a lot to say about, that started with Texas saying they were going to do this new redistricting. So the idea that this happened because California did their evil liberal shit and Texas is fighting back so bravely, I feel like that's bogus.
It is. And let me explain why. Firstly, the California Redistricting Commission that was approved doesn't draw maps that are actually nearly as slanted in either direction as what the Texas gerrymander is doing. Secondly, the California maps that are being redrawn need to be approved by the state's electorate to begin with anyways, which already makes it fundamentally different from deciding, hey, we control the state legislature, ergo, we're going to redraw the maps without any vote inputs from voters, right? What Texas is doing is Texas just said we're entitled to more seats because we have Republicans here and we can do it and we want more Republicans, so we're going to redraw it. That's basically what started this whole thing. And I find this whole complaint about redistricting really rich because, look, I think gerrymandering is a scourge. I want independent commissions all over the nation to draw fair maps. But until you get that, why would you expect that one side just sits back and says, we are the protectors of democracy, thou shalt not gerrymander, and neither will we? Oh, you did it anyways? All right, fine. Well, we won't do it.
I feel like that kind of has been the Democratic Party in the past several years.
Why do you think everyone's so pissed off with the Democrats?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we're going to follow the rules so we can run on the fact that it's good that we follow the rules. And then the Republicans are going to break the rules and have massive, tremendous victories. But at least we get to say that we were the respectful ones. So from what I remember about our conversation with the California gerrymandering, you were saying that California drawing 5 new seats is not going to violate the integrity of the Voting or Civil Rights Act and give Republicans around the country an opportunity to respond in a giant, massive wave of new red seats. That's the case, right?
Yeah, because look, the game theory is very simple. I'll give you a 2-sentence breakdown of it. Republicans are going to redraw maps across the nation. They have said they will redraw maps across the nation because they think they're entitled to more seats. They think we have the numbers, we're going to draw more because we want Republicans to win. California said, well, if you're going to do that, we are going to go to our voters and we are going to say, hey, can you give us the permission to fight back here? Because if they're going to do it, they're going to put themselves in a position where they could win the House despite losing the popular vote by 3 or 4 points. Now, what option is worse for democracy here? Like, is it right for a party to win the House solely because they decide to draw everyone into like a super safe red or blue seat and then that way they get a bias? No. So California is basically saying, if you do that, which you're going to do regardless, now we're going to fight back. And that's what Newsom's doing. And that's just basic game theory.
Are there other blue states that can get in on this and you think will get in on this? Because I think Hochul was saying something about this as well, but I couldn't tell if that was an actual desire to get in on the fight or just her trying to position herself in some sort of positive way ahead of her reelection campaign.
So the reason Hochul can't do anything in New York is because New York Dems don't have the numbers needed to do it. You need a supermajority, and they're not going to be able to get a constitutional amendment approved. They're not going to be able to get anything with a supermajority because they don't have the numbers. So Hochul can't do it in New York. New Jersey can't do it either. It's only Harris plus 6. It's not a blue enough state to do it. Washington is controlled by a commission. Washington won't be able to override that commission. Minnesota Dems do not have a majority again. So you can't really do it there. Virginia has said they may do it, but Virginia Dems do not have a trifecta. They would need to expand their majority in the state House and state Senate, and they would need Spanberger to win. And then they'd have to still push through a very contentious thing in a pretty closely split state. California is the only state that realistically can do it. It's why Newsom is doing it, and it's why Newsom is getting so much press.
The other Republican states are going to be doing it. So as far as we know, this is just going to be a situation where the Republicans come out of all of this with more seats.
The question isn't, are Republicans going to get more seats or not? The question is, how many more seats are Republicans going to get? Now that who started by deciding they want more seats? It was Republicans. So now that Republicans did it, we're debating, are they going to get 12 seats? Are they going to get 8 seats? Are they going to get 6 seats? The maps they are drawing could net them 10 new seats across the nation. If California fights back and draws out 4 or 5 Republicans, we're looking at Republicans getting maybe 5 seats across the nation due to redistricting. That's a big difference, and that could prove the difference between holding and losing the House.
Well, hopefully Republicans gain 0 seats and lose all of the seats. Everybody with Bulwark, we're Cam and Lakshya. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you again soon.